Story 1. It's gonna go there, so I might as well go there too. Scorpion venom is the most expensive liquid in the world, costing $39 million per gallon. If you can make that much, though, the price will plummet unless you ration out its release. If I can choose how much I make each day, up to 5 liters, that's cool. If I have to make all 5 liters at once, the excess scorpion venom will become problematic. Maybe horseshoe crab blood. That could turn a nice profit, and an extra 5 liters a day might not affect the price too badly. The blood can demand as high as $60,000 per gallon. If it had to be for personal use, maybe unsweetened spearmint iced tea. I thought about Jack Daniels, but that's a lot of Jack. I'd be an alcoholic before long, just for the sheer availability of it. Story 2. Depends on the day. Gasoline for the car. Type O positive blood for the hospital. Antivenom for whatever rare toxin. Or am I restricted to a specific fluid? Because I cannot decide if it would be better to go for wealth or humor. Story 3. Zolgensma, also known as onasemnogene abiparvovec, is used to treat a rare neuromuscular disorder called spinal muscular atrophy. It was approved by the Food and Drug Administration in 2019 as a treatment for children under 2 years old. $2.1 million per dose, 5.5 milliliters. I would sell it all. Story 4. HP Cyan ink cartridge. Apparently, it's the only color that seems to be used up when I print blacks, and this is more expensive than anything I know. Story 5. I want to be sensible and follow these valuable liquids people are mentioning, but I do think it would be hilarious to turn random people's bottled water into milk or something while wandering around. Story 6. Alien blood. And not just any old alien blood. Alien blood that also doubles as scorpion venom, horseshoe crab blood, printer ink, and liquid antimatter. That also opens wormholes into other universes. That should be worth a few dollars. Story 7. Come. Just so I could dump it on the sidewalk and watch people slip and fall on it and say, "Oh my God, this sidewalk is slippery." And then scratch their heads in confusion and ask themselves, "Wait, what is this?" And then realize, "Oh my God, is this cum?" And then they panic and try to stand back up, but they slip again, and then they realize that when they scratched their head, they got cum in their hair. So now they start wiping their hair trying to get the cum out, but their hands are covered in cum, so they are just wiping more cum in their hair and spreading it around. Is that weird? Story 8. Honey. It's profitable enough to be a side gig, and very shelf-stable to sell on weekends or whenever I'd like. I could likely just collect it and do online quarterly sales. All I'd have to do is bottle it. Plus, it doesn't attract the unwanted attention that gold or scorpion venom would. Story 9. ERCC RNA spike in mix. At the current 9% discount, that's $817,825,000 for 5 liters. At full price, $894 million for 5 liters. Every single day, nearly $1 billion. Elon Musk won't be the richest man for long. Story 10. ERCC RNA spike in mix. 10 microliter kits are $1,482 for 5 liters. That said, making that much would probably crash prices, so maybe you take a paltry $74 million. Then start turning it into venom or other useful medical liquids. Story 11. Top quality racehorse semen. Apparently, that sells for an insane amount. I would have to limit how much I sold for scarcity's sake. I can't flood the market with the best. Story 12. Gallium. It's worth $900 per kilogram. 5 liters would be around 30 kilograms at 20 degrees Celsius, so $27,000 per day. I would sell most of it, but I would just like having an absurd amount of gallium for no reason. I'm sure I would find something to do with it. Mercury would be cool too. But I cannot just dip my arm in a vat of mercury. Well, I could, but probably not for long. Story 13. Imagine 10 random people in the world each day wanting to quench their thirst with a 0.5 liter bottle of refreshing water, only for you to come along and be like, "Oops, all mercury." Story 14. That depends. Does it all have to be the same thing? Could I divide it into different things? And does it need to be the same thing every day? Start off with a few things to stabilize my finances and then start making fun stuff. Medications that are extremely expensive could be donated to people in need. Or I could just get fatter from large milkshakes every day. Story 15. Hopefully, I can change what I turn it into on a daily basis. Wake up Monday morning with liquid gold. Tuesday, horseshoe crab blood. Wednesday, scorpion venom. When the bank account is comfortable, go to other liquids that could help humanity. I'm greedy to a point, then I would be philanthropic. Story 16. O negative blood daily. I would profit off of this until I had enough money to live comfortably for the rest of my life. After that, I would donate it every day until my last. Story 17. Every day I would choose a different fluorophore-conjugated monoclonal antibody. Using these prices, I can charge almost $1,000 per milliliter, so that's almost $5 million each day. My hand math says 5 liters of gold is about $7 million, but I bet the market would get flooded much faster with gold, depressing prices, than if I chose the antibodies. Story 18. Figure out what the most expensive antivenom is. Costs over $10,000 each. It's about 10 milliliters per vial. So 1,000 milliliters for 1 liter. Multiply that by 5 a day, and it would be 50 million a day. Outshines the gold. Story 19. Rhodium is much more valuable than gold, but with a much lower density, they end up being quite close in value. Iridium is almost 50% more valuable currently than gold and is the second most dense metal. Gold is currently being pushed to all-time new highs of almost $3,000 an ounce. Iridium pushed nearly $6,000 an ounce a few years ago. You wouldn't, however, be able to flood the market and affect worldwide gold pricing. With some rough estimating, you would be producing around 30 tons a year. The top 3 producers of gold last year produced over 1,000 tons. While 30 tons is not insignificant, it's not enough to move the market in any meaningful way. All of the other more valuable substances are valued for their rarity, which would be quickly changed with such a steady supply. Iridium would be in excess of 30 tons, which would be much more than the current worldwide output. It would probably be one of the most valuable items you could choose for society at large, as it is very rare and expensive currently, and such a large and steady supply would be very useful in many industries. Story 20. Pre-mixed formula for babies to donate. I didn't realize how expensive formula adds up for babies until my in-laws had a child that had to be formula-fed. It's absolutely insane. Story 21. There's incredibly dangerous stuff like antimatter, expensive stuff like liquid gold, and the Robin Hood route of producing life-saving drugs. I suppose if I could choose, I would take the ability to turn the 5 liters of water each day into an advanced nanorobotic gray goo that can self-replicate and alter matter at the molecular scale, but that obeys only me. I would primarily use it for medical means, to cure diseases and reverse the damage of aging. Story 22. Everyone's mind goes directly to what could be sold. Not only is that boring and predictable, but it also completely ignores the possibility that utility is more valuable than just a pure commodity. Other than scorpion venom, gold, or uranium, being able to make a basically infinite supply of something valuable is incredibly dangerous and foolish. Have you ever seen the film District 9? The government realizes that only the protagonist has the power to use the alien technology because it's DNA locked, and what do? They torture him and treat him like a lab rat. Did none of you read Rumpelstiltskin? That's a story about a girl who is said to spin straw into gold, and the king wants to marry her so she can make him rich. I dare you to turn water into gold or whatever and see how long it takes before a cartel shows up and threatens you. With that in mind, the debate would be between 3 things. Kerosene, very low market value, but you would always have a form of fuel for cooking and heating. It's also a cleaning agent and can destroy grease. It's a pesticide and can be used in the garden. Whiskey could be sold, but you'd still have to age it for years. This could also be used for heating and cooking, as it's flammable. But mostly, I just love whiskey, and it would be nice if I always knew I could make myself a drink as long as I had a glass of water. Broth. Not sure which kind. I know it's kind of trivial since you can always make your own or buy some from the store, but knowing I could make a soup at any moment with the flick of the wrist would be extremely useful. Imagine being at work, feeling peckish, and snapping your fingers to have some hot soup. Story 23. The post is open to interpretation and debate. Does the water automatically appear in a magical style? Or do you need to collect it via a tap or another source? It wasn't specified that the 5 liters need to be completely transformed into just one other liquid. Does that mean we can mix and match to avoid saturating the market value? Are we considering molten metals as liquids? Or does the changed product need to have always been a liquid, not just temporarily in a liquid state? Story 24. Since all anybody thinks about here is the costliest liquid, which is kind of stupid because if 5 liters a day of that liquid were freely available, it would no longer be the costliest liquid. And since I don't care about just making money from it, I would turn it into gasoline and know I never had to fill up my car again. Story 25. Liquid THC so I can easily sell it to existing companies for startup cash, then use it to open and operate my own business selling THC vape pens and THC-infused drinks and edibles. It would always be easy to sell great quality products at great prices to the local community. Story 26. I would be looking down the list of most expensive injectable drugs and offering to produce them for poorer countries where intellectual property isn't so much a law. Rather, it's a guideline. Instead of hundreds of thousands, if not millions per injection, I would charge a whole lot less for 5 liters of the stuff. Dangerous work, but it would improve the lives of so many that the pharmaceutical companies don't care about. Story 27. Not for the Jesus aspect, just so I can actually taste it and share with friends. Honestly, yeah, I would be tempted to also start a religion off of it, but I swear I would try to do good with it. Story 28. I've seen several episodes of To Catch a Smuggler on cable TV, and people often get caught for liquid cocaine at airports. One person just had 5 pairs of pajamas in his suitcase, and he had just flown into Italy from Brazil. The customs officers were basically laughing because his pajamas were all damp and heavy. They were like, "All you brought to wear in Italy were wet pajamas?" No way. The pajamas were soaked in liquid cocaine, worth about $100,000 or so. Anyway, I don't want to go to prison, but 5 liters of liquid cocaine would be a huge amount of money. Plus, in the original poster's hypothetical situation, you wouldn't have to smuggle it. Story 29. Liquid metallic hydrogen. Advance science and make a pretty penny or two. Could also go with neutronium superfluid, but 5 liters of that would probably have more mass than the whole planet. Story 30. First thought was mercury. Quick calculation at 13.5 times the density of water, 11 pounds for 5 liters, is 148.5 pounds. Mercury sells for around $300 per pound, so $44,550 per day. Story 31. Insulin, although that might be hard to sell. Printer ink would be an obvious one, about $3,000 per liter. Horseshoe crab blood, $15,000 per liter, is used for medical research. Story 32. If you turn it into the essence of those elegant falcons they love in the Middle East, I remember it's incredibly expensive. I watched a documentary where a man had a special hat and had to go into the aviary. The falcon swooped toward his head and, did their business on his hat, and he had to scoop it up. It's not even about the money at this point. It's about saving that poor man's dignity. Story 33. The venom from the Deathstalker scorpion, Liures quinquestriatus, holds the title of the most expensive liquid on Earth, with a price tag that can reach up to $39 million per gallon. Story 34. Wine. Go to church, do it daily there. People will believe I am the Messiah. They will do whatever I want whenever I want. I am about to live a life of luxury without having to deal with selling stuff. And for whatever else they want me to do, I can always make up any excuse. Christians will believe it. Story 35. Assuming I can affect temperature, Coca-Cola, liquid platinum would actively better the world. I am totally for flooding the market, quite literally, with platinum. Story 36. Well, unless someone can refer to me some sort of exception, essentially any matter can be in a liquid state given the right conditions of temperature and pressure. Bachelor of Science in Chemistry. Story 37. Handling venom or molten gold seems like a lot of added risk. I feel like letting it be known you can turn water into a valuable commodity has a lot of second-order consequences that wouldn't be worth it. I'd just go with beer. Everyone likes beer. I don't think anyone would kill me over 5 liters of beer. Story 38. Anything that is in high demand and limited supply will flood the market, drive competition out of business, raise prices even higher, and possibly limit supply similar to the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. Story 39. I'd go for something like tritium, antimatter, or something like that. Since I can tell it to the one that settles this deal, maybe negotiate that I can change it every month or year. Story 40. First, 5 liters of gold. Let it cool, sell it, and be set for life. Then, basically every liquid drug that is being used to gouge money from patients anywhere in the world. Story 41. If I can pick exactly what water I'm converting, and it's a could and not a must, and if I can do it at range, and if it works on water-based solutions, then I don't know, probably would just use it as a death note and fill certain fascist world-ender cells and blood with hot fudge or something. Story 42. Maybe scorpion venom. It's around $39 million a gallon and has a variety of uses, so you're not going to flood the market with it easily. Call it $40 to $43 million a day initially, and probably dropping down to stabilize around $20 million a day after things settle out. And even at those prices, it would still be a net benefit to humanity. Story 43. I'd only need a small amount of musk's blood for drug screening. It's not my fault if 5 liters might be too much. Don't blame me. I didn't come up with those stupid rules.